The brood box is the heart of your hive. This is where you'll find the most important clues about your colony. Hi, I'm Helen, and this is Adam, my bee buddy for today, and we will be inspecting this brood box. Count how many frames are covered with bees. Strong colonies will have all or most frames covered. Weak colonies, only a few. Looking at this brood box, we can see that most of these frames are covered with bees. This indicates that the colony is strong and healthy. This is a great opportunity to observe temperament. Look for calm, neutral behaviour. Bees erupting from the box and hitting your veil are signs of stress. If bees attempt to sting, slow down or close up. Observing this colony, I can see that these bees are fairly docile and they're not reacting to having been opened up. I can also see that when I run my hand over the top of them, there's no reaction from the bees. Here is what we are looking to see in our brood box. Eggs can be found at the base of open cells. They look like very small grains of white rice and hatch into larvae. Bee larvae develop very quickly in uncapped cells and look like pearly white grubs. They then develop as pupae within a capped cell and will emerge as adult bees. Worker bees are female honeybees that perform all the hive's work and make up the vast majority of bees in a hive. Drones are male honeybees. They are larger than workers, have a square abdomen and are stingless. They are often mistaken for the queen by new beekeepers. A queen bee is the largest bee in the hive whose primary role is to lay eggs. She has a long tapered abdomen and her wings only extend halfway down her body. Bee bread is a mixture of pollen, nectar and bee enzymes and can be many different colours. Bee bread is never capped. Nectar brought into the hive is processed into honey. You will see the unripe honey as a pool of liquid in uncapped cells. When ripe, honey fills the cell and it is capped. Cover half the hive with a damp cloth or tea towel. This reduces the amount of bees flying in the air. The first frame that we remove from this hive will be the first or the second frame in from the edge. Don't be too tempted to go straight into the middle of the hive. The queen is most likely going to be in that area. So removing one of these outside frames means that you're less likely to damage the queen. So I'm going to pull this outside frame. My bee buddy's gently going to smoke the edges so that the bees are away from the hive tool, and I'm going to shift these frames across. And I'm going to put my hive tool in here very gently. This is most likely going to be a honey frame because that's where the bees generally store their food. When I lift it, I'm going to keep it vertical and lift it very slowly. And I can see that this is just a honey frame. I'm actually going to leave this frame out of the box, and that will now give me space to remove other frames without the likelihood of damaging bees. So I'm gently prying these frames apart with my hive tool so that it creates space on each side of the frame to gently lift it. And I can see on this frame that we have some capped brood. We also have some food around that brood, and there's some empty cells and some eggs and larvae. Looking on the other side, I can see that again they have some nectar in here and quite a few empty cells, which tells me that these cells have probably just recently been drawn, ready to be filled. Again, I'm lifting very gently and very slowly. And I can see on this frame again, we have some older capped brood on that frame. So far we have seen eggs, we've seen larvae, and we've also seen capped brood. Again, I can see on this frame that we have emerging brood, and if I look down into these cells from the top, I can see that there's young larvae in those as well. So on this particular frame, again, I can see larvae. Because I've seen evidence of the queen during this inspection, I don't necessarily need to find the queen. We're now going to pull this tea towel over to the other side so we can inspect the remainder of these frames. I can see from this frame that there's lots of younger capped brood, and we have quite a number of eggs in the base of these cells down the bottom, and some larvae as well. So again, I'm lifting these frames nice and slowly, and I'm having a look to see what's on this frame. And my bee buddy there has just spotted the queen, Her Majesty. So when we're doing our brood inspections, there's a few things we're looking for. First is evidence of the queen, which indicates a healthy colony. The second is space. So not just space for honey, which would be up in your honey supers, but space for the queen to lay and space for the bees to store their resources. Another thing that we need to look for in our hives when we're doing our brood inspection is what we call bias, brood in all stages. So that is eggs, young larvae, older larvae, and capped brood. It's an outer frame against the wall of the hive, and here we can see that they're filling it with nectar to be later capped as honey. I'm just going to put this frame back to finish the inspection. So we're just going to close this hive up. We still have this first frame to put back in this first position. I'm actually going to move all these frames together. There's no need to move them one by one. Again, this reduces the likelihood of damaging bees. I'm very gently going to drop this frame back into position. If you have a hive mat, now would be the time to put it on. And then we're just going to put the lid on this hive. Careful brood inspections help you understand your colony's story. Move slowly, observe closely, and record your findings. Each inspection helps you build your confidence and skill.